Welcome, everyone, to the Fright Corner podcast. I'm your host, John, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Jeff. And
Hello?
it looks like tonight we are reviewing two movies with our new format. We're doing The Witch for our off movie, and then our franchise movie, Paranormal Activity. I guess to start with, Jeff, you had mentioned a show from the creators of The Walking Dead. I wonder if you want to kind of touch on that for a minute.
Yeah, this film, well, it's not a film. Yeah, you're right. It's a TV show. It's called Outcast. And as far as I know, the first episode is actually for free on YouTube. So I'm wanting to watch that pretty soon. I haven't actually seen it yet. But yeah, anything from Robert Kirkman is pretty much just gold in my eyes. So I'll have to watch that. He said it's kind of interesting. He actually sold that show on accident at like a after party for the season 2 Walking Dead wrap up. And someone was asking him like, well, what's your next project? And he's like, well, I got this idea I've been tossing around, kind of a supernatural thriller about this guy who gets possessed by demons and those around him get possessed. And it's kind of got an Exorcist-type vibe, and from what I hear, it's actually kind of scary. So that's kind of refreshing for a TV show. Most of those, like, it's hard to find a good horror TV show that's actually scary and not just, a theme. So yeah, we might actually review that in the future, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Remember, it's called Outcast by Robert Kirkman, and you can find the first episode on YouTube.
All right, sounds good. I think I'm going to check that out here soon. I just hadn't had a chance yet. One thing I did notice today, a couple things I want to bring up, was one, I seen this preview for the movie called The Woods that comes out in September, and they've actually confirmed that this is actually a sequel to the Blair Witch Project. And from the trailer, it doesn't look like it's really a found footage movie. It looks like a Steadicam movie, and it might not be too bad. It's kind of interesting to see where they go after all this time on this one. There ain't a whole lot really about it right now. Still got a couple of months before it comes out, so I guess we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, and even the trailer on YouTube isn't very long, right? It doesn't give a whole lot away.
No, it's only just a little over a minute. I think like a minute 25 or something, so it's not very long. So I'd be curious to see how they work out with that one. And the other trailer I want to bring up, well, I guess there's two others, being this Friday the 22nd when we're recording, but I seen the Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 trailer, and the reason I happened to see it, but I have also seen that San Diego Comic-Con banned it. They will not let them show it because they say it's too graphic to show at their Comic-Con.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that they had a rating system or something that they were kind of trying to stick to. But I guess it makes sense. You've got a lot of kids walking around there probably.
Oh, probably. That's probably got a lot to do with it. And I guess the other thing that premiered today was the Walking Dead Season 7 trailer premiered where they debuted King Ezekiel.
Wow, I actually didn't get to see that one. I'll have to look it up after we get done recorded.
Yeah, it's like a 3-minute trailer. I mean, they still don't give away who's been killed yet, but I think they actually just filmed that scene just less than a month ago. They said at the end of last season they didn't film who got killed. So they were making them wait so that way they couldn't get anything out until they were ready to start filming.
Have they said whether or not the actors actually know who the person was? I mean, surely they have to know by now.
Well, I would think they'd know by now. I know at one time there when they were leaving them in suspense, they said they had filmed a bunch of them they'd filmed all of them getting killed or something like that, like a select amount of them. And they said they wouldn't tell them who really got killed until they were ready to start filming fully.
Wow.
So, I mean, they're trying to keep it hush-hush because they can go any which way. I mean, obviously it differs from the comics, so
yeah,
they can
it's
go
an
any way
interesting
they
approach.
want.
Yeah, and they were kind of defending that decision again. Like they said they'll know eventually whether or not it was a good or bad idea to do it this way. But, I mean, they kind of equated it to back in Star Wars, like there was a period of years before we knew like whether or not a certain character was dead between movies, obviously. So we don't even have to wait that long. We only have to wait a matter of months before we find out. So it's not like the Star Wars films.
Yeah, it looks like we got October 23rd is when it returns. So we're not too far off from getting our premiere of it. But I'd just be curious to see where they go with it. This could be good. It could be bad. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes I think it's hard to... Depends on how diehard of the comic fan you are compared to the TV show.
Right.
Obviously, books to movies or comic books to movies, they can't keep all the information in there altogether. Sometimes they have to bend and change it to make it work. So we'll see.
Yeah. Plus, you don't want it to be too predictable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I know there's a chance it could have been Glenn that got killed, but I don't. I'm just afraid that's way too predictable. I mean, that's just like, well, okay, you're just following the comics exact now, so why, why bother with it if you're not going to change something up?
Yeah.
Throw a little wrench in the story, make it a little bit more unique, I guess.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and as for anything else, I really haven't seen a whole lot else. One thing I did see, the guy that played in the original Night of the Living Dead, me and you did that one in an earlier episode. There was a guy that was the TV personality that was actually interviewing the sheriff and the people who were out there trying to round up and kill all the zombies and stuff. He actually passed away this week. He was in his 80s. I guess this was his third bout with cancer. But he was a local TV personality in Pennsylvania called Chilly Billy, and he hosted like a weekend night, like Fright Night thing, I guess, or show a couple of those old horror movies and stuff, and he happened to get hooked up with Romero at the time to play in Night of the Living Dead, and he also reprised that role in Tom Savini's remake in the 90s, but I did see where he passed away at 85, 86 years old or something.
Wow.
So he didn't do a whole lot, but it was kind of neat that he had the credit of being not only in that movie, but also being the TV personality to host those monster movies of the weekends and stuff.
Yeah, it's not a bad role to have, that's for sure.
No, not at all. So that's pretty much all I have for this week. I did see some deal where they're giving away, there's a movie called Death House coming out. On Twitter, you can follow them and retweet some of their stuff. They're actually going to be giving a signed script away of that movie, and it's actually like the Expendables of horror, I guess you could call it, because it's an insane asylum, and these ones that are locked in the basement are the worst of the worst, and it's actors like Robert Englund, Kane Hodder, Bill Moseley, I believe, and there's 3 or 4 others. Can't think of his name. It's the guy who played Pinhead, and I cannot think of his name now for the life of me, but there's several of them that played in these horror movies. It's just kind of like the Expendables. They're like the worst of the worst that's down in the basement of this insane asylum. So, just curious to see what this one looks like. They said they're getting close to getting a teaser trailer out for it, so...
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, but I saw it's kind of neat that they are giving away a signed script, though, so...
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's interested, just look up at Dead House movie and just check it out and see if it's something you might be interested in. Okay, I guess what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and hop into our movie reviews, and I guess we'll start with The Witch. I had not seen this one. You had seen it previously, and I have to admit this was pretty good. I didn't have much of a problem with it. I thought, pretty good story. I think sometimes the less you see, the better it is, and this is one of those movies. It's a slow burn, and you really have to pay attention to what's going on. And
right, yeah.
I definitely enjoyed it. I think this is a good recommendation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, a lot of people, some had complaints that it started out too slowly, but I think that now in this day and age, everything's, instant gratification, and that's just not the case with every film, and as it shouldn't be, because otherwise it's all going to be the same, and we can't all be superhero movies with, instant fighting and all that stuff. So basically, the premise for this movie, it's called The Witch, and it came out in 2015 in theaters originally. It came out in 2016 in theaters in some places, but I don't know the exact release pattern, but still pretty new movie. And the premise is that in 1630, New England, panic and despair envelops a farmer, his wife, and 4 of their children when the youngest son, Samuel, suddenly vanishes. The family blames Thomason, which is played by the daughter, which is the daughter played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and her acting in this film was fantastic. I just want to add in there.
Absolutely.
The oldest daughter, who was watching the boy at the time of his disappearance. So basically, she had this baby out in the field, kind of, and then that's when it vanishes, and of course, she ends up kind of taking the blame for it. But with suspicion and paranoia mounting, twin siblings Mercy and Jonas suspect Thomason of witchcraft, testing the clan's faith, loyalty, and love to one another. And that's basically the synopsis for the film. And it's definitely a period piece. They speak in Old English, so you really have to pay attention to understand what they're saying.
Absolutely. And one thing I will comment, I guess my only complaint is, it wasn't the Old English. That was fine. I mean, I understood that just fine. But these people running the mics and stuff, you have to put a boom pole by the person speaking every once in a while. And I know what they're trying to do. They're getting it so low, so you turn the TV up or you turn your volume up, so you're trying to listen. And they come in with that shock of loud music to get you to jump. And that bothers me because I want to know what's going on. I don't want to have to keep messing with the volume up and down. So I actually turned on the subtitles so that way I could just read it, so I didn't have to keep messing with the volume. That's probably my only complaint of the editing, is it just bothers me when they keep doing this. And it's just getting old. And they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it since probably the 50s. But still, it just gets annoying for me. But
Yeah, I totally agree.
That'd be my only complaint. But other than that, the language was fine. It was easy to understand, to kind of see where they're going from. It was a pretty good story. I think it was well paced. I mean, there's a few parts that were a little slow, but I still think it was pretty well paced, though.
Yeah, and quickly adding to what you just said, I think a lot of films nowadays are set up so intensely focused on movie theater play, like the sound system's there, and then also the people who have the sound system at home or like a sound bar, something where the dialogue is on almost a different, I don't know if it'd be called a different channel or not, but it's just a completely different setup, or, it is quiet anyway on top of that, obviously. So it is tough, especially when you have those loud shock noises, like she's talking dialogue and then all of a sudden a loud shock, high-pitched noise and there's a goat face or something, like something that is slightly disturbing, even though it turns out to not be scary sometimes. And that's classic for all fright, jump horror movies. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, I totally agree. I like the use of the animal symbolism that they had. It was a little bit predictable about halfway through the film when you can kind of start to see that maybe a lot of the blame is going to be shifted toward the daughter, Thomason. And, it's not really something that's a big deal, though, because obviously that's what you expect to happen in any situation, really, when she's the only one who was with the child and she's the one to blame. And then you got the two kids who, there's two of them. And so if you have two people claiming the same thing, that's going to make it more credible than, it's the old one against two type situation. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some of it got predictable toward the halfway. After you've kind of seen what she's done to the little ones and what she told them, and that's going to come back. But then again, I have to wonder with some of the stuff that happened if the little ones were already corrupted by I guess the devil, the black sheep. But,
right.
I have to really wonder that because they were always talking about talking to him and everything else. So, this makes me wonder if they were already corrupted at one point before all this even happened.
Yeah, and I definitely think they were. The black goat pretty much is the devil in the situation or whatever. And you don't see the witch very much in the movie. It is called the witch, but I think it's focused on a grander idea. But the witch you actually do see a couple glimpses of, and then at the very end is kind of like the big reveal, and then it goes from very normal ground-based type situations, and at the very end they really kind of take it up a notch, where like the witches are actually floating up into the air, and they're showing that these supernatural things actually do exist despite the family being so grounded in religion and all that stuff. And one other thing, Ralph Ineson, who played the father, I was so impressed with the acting. It was perfect. It was spot on. All the dialogue, everything could not have been any better from him. So that was very enjoyable. His wife, Kate Dickie, also a very good actress, almost to the point where you really do start to be super annoyed with that character. And it's like in wrestling, it's her job to make you dislike her. And she definitely accomplished that with me. So I guess that credits her as well.
Yeah, that says a lot right there. That's when you know they've done a good job, is if they're supposed to be the character you hate and you actually hate them, that's what they're out for. So, so she did real well for that because, at some point, she, after the baby goes missing, she pretty well shoves the daughter away. Doesn't want to have nothing to do with her anymore. Blames her for everything.
Yeah, her own daughter she disowns. So, it gets that far. And this, like I said, is a period piece when people back then were so paranoid about witches and they were somewhat ignorant and didn't really know any better. And who knows, maybe witches did exist back then, and I'm sure they did. It was just whether or not they actually had the supernatural abilities is what the question is. But ultimately, it does show the paranoia from back then in New England in 1630 and that time period, and it's really enjoyable to see a movie go back to this time because that's kind of an untapped well of entertainment from that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think this was a good period piece. I think they kept true to the period, which was good. I'm very glad they did. They didn't go off the rails, and I mean, they kept it pretty simple. I mean, it was a simple movie. There wasn't a whole lot of actors and actresses. You didn't need a lot, and I think that speaks a lot for the actors to carry the movie without. There wasn't a ton of special effects. There wasn't this or that in there. And jump scares were here and there, but nothing major. But it just had a good story, and I think that's more enjoyable to me than sometimes. I mean, I like the slashers and stuff, the mindless violence. That's fine too. But sometimes I need something that brings me back to where I can start thinking a little bit more about about what the movie's about, and really think about it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want a good, intelligent horror film, The Witch is the film for you. And I really enjoyed it. And yeah, and that is kind of the theme, unintentional theme for this podcast episode is actually very small casts doing very big things. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about this film.
Yeah, neither can I really enjoyed it. I'm actually happy I've seen it, and I'll probably watch it again here in a couple months, 2 or 3 months. I might watch it again.
Yeah,
Give some time between it,
and there could be
see if
hidden
it holds
things in
up.
there. I mean, you might
Yeah.
find more things that you hadn't seen the first time. I mean, there are some shots of the woods in the background, and I think there are a few things that even I missed in the first watch through.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I've noticed with a lot of these movies that are like this, they put stuff in the background that you may not necessarily catch the first time, but after you see it 2 or 3 times, you start picking out little things here and there. Like there's that movie Cabin in the Woods, came out a few years ago, and uh, when they go down to this basement of this place that's hiding all the monsters, you start looking at all these. You just can't take it all in. At one time it's like, oh, there's one from Hellraiser. Oh, wait, there's Evil Dead. There's this. There's that movie. There's those movies. And it's one of those things that I really enjoy, and I think The Witch has something like that. I was so focused on the story, I really didn't pay too much attention to the background a whole lot. But
Right,
if I
and
watch
you're
it
trying to
again, I
focus on
definitely
dialogue.
will.
Yeah.
Okay, and so IMDb has this thing listed as a 6.8 out of 10 with a little over 62,000 reviews. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially being from IMDb. I mean, I figure if you can get anything over a 4 on IMDb, it's worth probably watching.
Yeah, they can be pretty harsh. The original Karate Kid from 1985, which is my favorite movie of all time, pretty sure that one doesn't even have a 6.8, which it should have a 10 out of 10, obviously. But we can't all get what we want.
No, we can't all get what we want. But I did enjoy this one. I think out of 5 screens, I would probably give this one a 4. I enjoyed it that much that I think, like I said, the audio, I think if they'd fixed the audio from from the movie theater to the DVD transfer would have been a little bit better. I probably could have gave this thing a 5 out of 5 in all honesty. But
Yeah,
when I have to turn on the subtitles so I can see what's going on, and because I can't hear it over everything else, that just bothers me.
right. Especially if you have other people in the house too, and they're not all watching the movie. You got to be really careful, especially with those loud jump scares. So I'm with you. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Pretty much. I mean, in total agreement. I mean, the audio was the only issue, really. I mean, the cinematography was beautiful. I like the color scheme of the film. It really kind of helps set the time period, or set the feeling of the time period, I guess. So, yeah, pretty good movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to actually watching it again here in a couple of months, probably. I could probably actually put this into a Halloween movie rotation where I would probably watch it around Halloween.
Yeah,
Around
that'd
that
be
time of
perfect.
year. Around that fall. Definitely the fall time of year where it's a little bit colder outside. You have more of that feeling, I guess.
Yep.
So I guess now we're going to go ahead and move on to our franchise review, our first part, which is from 2007, Paranormal Activity. Let's see. Of course, it's been a while since I've watched this one, and I gotta say it did hold up for me pretty good. The premise on this one is after moving to a suburban home, a couple becomes increasingly disturbed by a nightly demonic presence, and after a few nights, it seems to escalate up till the big conclusion at the end. So, very very small cast on this one, definitely. About what, three people.
Yeah, you
Four
had
people in this
Katie,
movie. Yeah.
Mika,
The
the
psychic that shows
priest,
up twice.
and the psychic, yeah.
Well, and her friend. So
Oh, that's
that's
right.
her little friend that shows up a couple times. So a very, very small cast and very small budget as well, because they got the budget listed as estimated at 15,000, and then grossing 107 million. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Yep, that's what kind of has inspired me in my own filmmaking is how you can do so much with so little, and I absolutely adore this movie, and so I have nothing but good things to say. So, John, maybe I'll let you give your review synopsis first.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, this one, like I said, it had been a while since I watched it, and actually I did enjoy it. I actually watched it twice before this uh, podcast. I watched it once on my big TV, and then I watched it on my phone with my headset in and just focused. And I'll tell you what, the sounds in the background, sometimes you can't pick that up when you're watching it on TV, like I said, because of the volume being up and down, which didn't have too big of a problem with that on this one. But to get the sounds of the background that was going on in the night, I think that if you're in the dark, you're focused on something, you got that headset in, you're not hearing nothing else, it can be pretty freaky, because you hear that low rumble every time it's night and something's getting ready to happen. You can hear that low rumble, or you might hear the footsteps every once in a while, or like the keys flying off the thing. It's something that stuff I'd really kind of missed probably watching it the first time through. But I think by putting the headset in and really focusing on it, it just really got to you. I mean, you could really sit there and kind of find yourself looking over your shoulder, because I really think that a lot of times with these movies, it's what you don't see is scarier than what you will see. And of course, we never actually see the demon or anything in this movie. We just see, the two actors, they definitely carry this movie because they have to work together. I think they do very well at it. Yeah, the story was pretty good. They kind of established the story, unraveled a little bit more as you went on. But, all in all, it was a really good, and I think it held up pretty good. And I think this is one of those ones that, like, I've watched it now here in this two times this last couple of weeks. It may be 6 months to a year before I watch it again, because I think this is one that if you kept watching it over and over, I don't think it would hold up. I really think you need to give yourself some time in between. But, I mean, all in all, the special effects, what little they had, was really good. It wasn't nothing major, and I don't think it had to be anything major. Being a low budget, is just what they did. And I was impressed with it. And I guess I'll turn it over to you and see what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. As for the sound part of it, a lot of the noises in the background, I would definitely recommend using the headset even for the home viewing. I went and saw this when it was in theaters, and I can proudly say I've seen each of the Paranormal Activities in theaters, minus the Ghost Dimension one, which, well, we'll get that in a few episodes. We'll talk about that one. But this one, like in theaters, you could hear a lot of the noises, and especially there's the one scene where they're laying in bed, and there's like the rumbling and this huge slam on the wall, like above their bed, seemingly. And then they run downstairs, and the chandelier in the living room is like, swaying back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I remember in theaters, like, that was so loud. I mean, it was insane. But then when I watched it at home, I barely even caught it. I mean, I caught it, obviously, but it wasn't nearly the same. So definitely with the sounds, if you can, use a headset. If not, make sure the kids are with the grandparents or something, and turn your audio way up, because it's worth it. And with the camera, that's totally fine with me. I mean, I didn't have a problem with that at all. I love those kind of movies. I liked Cloverfield. I like the shaky cam occasionally, because I feel like it really puts you into the moment. And I know some people, unfortunately, they just have issues with it with their eyes and things like that. So I totally understand that. But for me personally, I really enjoy it. And this is one of those movies with that camera. I don't think it would have been the same without the shaky cam. I don't think it would have been the same if it was a camera crew running it or something like that. So that may be just a product of the small budget, with the actors controlling the cameras. But that's what made this movie so special. And it really makes you feel like you're in it and you're experiencing this with them. And when they're just sitting in bed listening, like you're listening too, like you're in it with them, you're experiencing this with them. And that's what I love about it so much is, and myself being someone who studies the paranormal and being someone who's interested in this sort of thing, this was just even better for me. So, and they were really true to a lot of, in this first movie at least, they were true to a lot of true actual experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Oren Peli, who directed the film and essentially created the film, fantastic. And he's gotten a lot of movies and offers since then to do other projects, and well deserved with what he did. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, everything is perfect about this movie almost. I know some people didn't like it, and that's their prerogative. But if you're into this sort of thing and you get it, then you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and I've actually got some fun facts, John. If you would like to go over those here in a few minutes.
Yeah, here's. I just want to add to that. The camera thing didn't bother me that much in this one. Most of the time it was stationary. There's a few times he's walking around with it, but it wasn't like he was running up and down the stairs, up and down, waving it around over his head or something. I mean, it was, even when he was moving with it, it was pretty stable. It wasn't that bad. And I think that's good. I mean, I understand, like Blair Witch, I think got a little carried away at a couple of times, but
like if you're full on sprinting and your camera is aimed at the ground and you're swaying back and forth, yeah, I am not down with that.
But this worked just fine, I think. I think this worked just fine because a lot of times it was stationary, especially whenever you got the effect of them being in bed asleep. Having that camera stationary, so you're sitting there kind of looking in the background, trying to look for anything you might catch. Might catch a shadow here or there every once in a while that I caught a couple of viewings. It's like, oh, crap. But no, yeah. I think the camera work just worked fine. I had no problem with it. And, and like I said, the two actors, they definitely carried the movie because they had to. I mean, obviously, their psychic friend, that came in a couple of times, he had a little bit of story to it, but they didn't rely on that though. They relied on those two to unravel the movie. So, yeah, right. It's really good. I enjoyed this first one really well. I'm curious to see how the others hold up for me because I think it's been even longer since I've seen them. So.
Yeah, this film has a bit of a magic to it, and it can't really be replicated. And I still remember the movie so well, even from the first time I watched it. So, I mean, I don't know. The actors were great. There's still a lot of mystery that's left with the movie. I mean, like even, for example, the original ending, that was changed. Like, it was actually at the suggestion of Steven Spielberg, of all people. So, I mean, the original scene, I think a lot of people may have seen it, where the cops come into the house and they shoot the knife-wielding Katie up in the room. Or actually, I think she was in that scene.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay, well, I remember another ending I seen, just to top it off. I remember seeing the ending that we see on most of them now, where she just throws his body into the room, stares at the camera.
That's the ending that they eventually went with at the suggestion of Spielberg. So now, I'm definitely glad they went with that one as well.
Now, one that I seen was she goes up into the bedroom after she's thrown him, and she's got the knife. She looks in the camera, takes it, and slits her own throat.
I actually haven't seen that one.
I seen that one. I think it was when it first came out. I had Netflix on video, and we got the DVD, and there was said alternate ending. And I remember watching it, and she does. She walks in there with a knife and slits her throat in front of the camera and sits there and dies.
Huh.
So, I mean, but I'd never seen the other one where the cops came in, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that one, it's more of an audio thing. I don't think they actually show her being shot. I think it's down in the kitchen when the cops come in, but it's been a while since I've seen the alternate ending, so I can't remember for sure. But, yeah, and then even Oren Peli himself, he got the idea for the movie from a personal experience. I guess he was sleeping one night, and a box of detergent fell off the shelf, and he says the box was pushed too far back for it to just tilt and fall, so... he thinks there might have been something to it. And then another thing, the crews were actually so small for the filming location, or the filming location was so small and narrow that a lot of the sound effects had to be added later in post-production. So a lot of the actors were actually listening for noises and things and reacting to them when they weren't actually hearing anything at all. So that is another credit to the actors themselves. And Yeah, and that house actually was Oren Pelly's house. They filmed the entire thing in his house. So,
Huh. Okay, interesting.
and then let's see. I'm trying to think of another little fun fact. I mean, most of them are. I mean, there are some other things from the other movies, but yeah, they filmed actually the first one in 10 days. They filmed the entire thing. So, I mean, just think about how much exhaustion may have come into play for that one. Yet they still pulled off this great movie, and yeah, I really love it, and I can always watch it again. But like you said, you can't watch it immediately after, because I mean, I think that's true for pretty much any movie. You shouldn't watch it that many times, otherwise it's going to lose the special attraction. It's going to lose the magic eventually. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on there. Like I said, I think it's one of those ones that if I wait another 6 months, 7 months or something, and just happen to pick it up or see it on or something, I'd probably watch it. And it'd probably still be like, oh, I've seen that somewhere in the background or something. Might pick something else up that I haven't seen before. So
yeah, and another thing, it's kind of interesting to note just that a film like this that was so small actually got picked up and got such a large release. I guess he had turned down several of the straight to DVD offers for this movie, and eventually it was picked up by Paramount and DreamWorks. So it's pretty interesting
yeah,
how this movie came about, especially with it being a relatively unknown,
yeah,
film.
became a viral hit. I remember seeing the advertisements for it and saying, demand it in your
Yeah,
your theater area, demand it for your region or
yeah, I
something.
forgot about that.
Once always, you had to go on the website and stuff, and you had to show where you were from and that you were demanding to see it in this area or
Yeah, I
whatever.
participated in that. I voted really hard for that.
So I figured that was pretty good too. I mean, that was definitely a good viral campaign they had going. Trying to
Yeah,
get it mainstream from just the independent to a mainstream movie was, after it made the independent circuit and stuff, then they said we want a big theatrical release, not just independent circuit.
right.
So, so yeah,
Yep.
all in all, pretty good. IMDb has this one rated at a 6.3 out of 10, and that's 184,000 reviews.
Yeah, that's
So
quite a few.
that's a lot of reviews. For me, I'd probably give this one a 4 as well. I really think it's enjoyable. Out of 5, I think it's one of those ones I could probably watch again and still enjoy it. But wait, just like I said, 6 months to a year, watch it again, no problems.
Yeah, and like you talked before, this is in my Halloween rotation. I usually watch it once a year, if not every year. I used to watch all the Paranormal Activities every year when they would come out, though, because for a while there they were coming out every year, every Halloween, just because of the success, and they were just nailing them out there every year. But yeah, for me personally, I give it a 5 out of 5, and definitely recommend it. So yeah, that's my review.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I guess coming up next week, of course, we're not next week, but in 2 weeks, we'll do Paranormal Activity 2. And I was trying to go around. I let you pick The Witch last time. I'm gonna see if you can see what you think about these two titles. The one I'm leaning toward is I'd actually like to do a review on the houses that October built. It's on Netflix. And I don't know if you'd be interested in that one or not. It's a found footage type movie. They're going around to all these haunted houses, trying to find the scariest, well, is the scariest underground haunted house they can find is
Sure,
what
let's
they're
do it.
trying to do. So I think I'd like to do that one. So it'll be kind of like a found footage week, I guess. We've got Paranormal Activity 2 and the house is October built.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Um, I guess the only other thing I've got here is, of course, I want to give a thank you to Harley Poe for letting us use the intro outro music for his library. And I want to give a shout out to Laughing Horror Podcast. He gave us a good review not too long ago, and I've communicated with him. He's up in Canada. He's got a really good podcast. I would suggest if you like this one, I'd definitely check it out. Definitely enjoyable to listen to him. He's got some good facts, and his episodes don't run too long. And I think he just switched to a bi-weekly thing himself. So it's a good filler. It's like, oh, well, I don't want to listen to this 3-hour podcast, and his are relatively pretty short. Around 30 minutes or so, and that's pretty enjoyable too because you can catch up on it real quick, which is good. Then the other one that I suggested to you being the wrestling fan and all too, was the Gore Horseman podcast. I happened to hear it on another podcast. They suggested it, flipped it on there. It wasn't too bad. I enjoy them. I think they got a pretty good podcast. I think they got a good idea going, doing half their podcast is a horror movie, and then they review a pay-per-view event, whether it's WCW or WWF or WWE now, depending on the year of the movie and the month. They try to coincide it all together, and it's not too bad. I pretty well enjoy it. I mean, some of theirs are a little bit longer, but that's also good to fill in time at work too. So
Yeah, and at least they do half and half too. I mean, they do half the movie, and then the other half is the wrestling event. Because if they did like an hour and 40 minutes on just the movie, then you might as well just watch the movie yourself. If you're gonna be in it that long. But I definitely like what they're doing, and I love the entrance the opening segment. The entrance music, I guess you could say, no pun intended for the wrestling part of it. But I like the editing. The editing is pretty good. So. Yeah, definitely check that one out as well.
Oh yeah, I definitely check them out. I check both those podcasts out. They're definitely really enjoyable. Like I said, I do enjoy the Gore Horsemen because I was a wrestling fan back in the 80s, 90s. So hearing these guys talk about some of these old ones are pretty neat. Especially, when you're also going to say like, oh, I didn't realize that was the same year or month this came out too. So it's kind of neat to see where the culture was at that time. So
yeah, and if you have the WWE Network for only $9.99 a month, you can actually go and watch all these events. And I love the WWE that much. I will plug their stuff, even though they don't pay me a dime.
That's fine. That's at least when you get on there, you can see some of the old WWF, the old WCW stuff, ECW, and all that. So there's something in there for everybody. If you've been a professionally wrestling fan at all, there's something for you on that network. From here out, I don't think I have anything else. Jeff, do you have anything?
Nope, that's it. You can follow us. I am at Jeff Jarman55 on Twitter, and John, you are at JGuitarRock, correct?
Yes. And then, of course, you can follow the podcast at The Fright Corner. We do have our email, thefrightcorner@mail.com. We're on iTunes, of course, on Spreaker, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Tumblr. I'm trying to put it out on everything I possibly can.
Yeah, and most podcatcher apps will be able to find it. And also you can find us at www.thefrightcorner.tk is another easy way to find it because all the episodes are right there in one place on the website. So,
yep. I also do got the YouTube page, just The Fright Corner. Haven't done a whole lot on there. Of course, the podcast gets uploaded to there. I'm kind of wanting to do some streaming of some horror games, I guess. Me and you have purchased the Dead Island Definitive Edition. I guess we really ought to work on streaming that one.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So we could do a stream on it. And, of course, I played the new Resident Evil 7, the Biohazard. I enjoy it. I like the graphics on it and look of it. And I probably should stream it just because it's kind of fun to stream and play. Other than that, I think that's really the best way. Twitter, pretty active on there. We do have a Facebook page. I'm not as active on there as I am on the Twitter, so that's probably easier to get a hold of us there.
Yeah, and also we, like John said, streaming games, and also we may end up even reviewing some of these horror games. So if you want to contact us at The Fright Corner on Twitter, please do and suggest whether or not you'd be interested in hearing about these games or not, because I think being that we've played them, we can give you a pretty good assessment on whether or not you should, spend your time and money to actually play these games as well. So we've got some good ones for sure.
Oh yeah, there's some good ones. I want to get some more PC gaming horror games. I mean, I've got a lot on the PS4. I do have quite a few on there, but
there's so many.
Yeah, just so many.
Yeah, so many great PC indie games. Like not just indie movies, but you've got indie horror games on PC that are so fun. And John, there's a lot that I've got to get you hooked up with as well.
Yes, I'm definitely gonna have to. I need to play them. That's all there is to it. I need everything horror.
Oh, yeah.
We'll wrap it up here, and I'll just gladly say to make sure and keep horror alive and watch something that scares you. And we'll see you next time right here at The Fright Corner.